chorus. I'm gonna. Flipping, tripping, kicking, sipping on the rotten.
Okay, folks, how you doing? My name is Mark, and this is Why I Hate the World. How's everyone doing out there? First off, I'm sorry that I didn't get a video out in the last couple weeks. This past weekend, I actually went outside for a change with some people. I know it's kind of strange, but you know, I actually left my apartment and everything. And this weekend before that, I was in Anaheim for AM2, like the entire the AM2 convention, anime convention in Anaheim. I was there like for the whole fucking weekend. So sorry about that. You know, it was pretty nice too. It was a pretty good convention. So anyhow, today I'd like to talk about the Fast and Furious scandal, and I got some notes here, so you know, if it looks like I'm reading stuff, and you know, I am. Alright, sorry about that. Anyway, but so what's going on with the Fast and Furious scandal, if people out there who haven't been paying attention or they don't know what this is, what it is that basically there was a botched ATF investigation a couple of years ago in which some weapons were allowed to go over the border of Mexico and get in the hands of some drug dealers and things, right? And so the House Oversight Committee did a subpoena against the White House for some documents, and Barack Obama invoked executive privilege to prevent these documents from going, you know, from being released. And the Republicans are treating this like it's some big time fucking scandal, and it's, you know, personally, I think the whole thing's a crock of shit because it is. Right? It's being exploited for political reasons. I mean, you know. Now, there's some background though, right? So here's a little bit more background. Basically, what's going on is that for years there's been suspicion and evidence. Actually, there's been actual evidence that essentially arms dealers are coming over the border, and they buy up weapons from gun shops and gun shows and things, and these weapons end up in the hands of drug cartels and drug dealers on the Mexican side of the border. And this is because you know, there's basically these guys are coming over and they're going to small gun shops and they're buying up rifles and you know, shotguns and pistols and things. And especially like in states like Texas and you know, Arizona, where the gun laws are kind of lax, right? You can go to a gun show, for instance, and you can buy a weapon without even really showing, like, no criminal background check, you know. And they've even done like undercover things where like the guy didn't even ask for like ID, you know. Like, they're supposed to take down all this information and stuff whenever you purchase a weapon, and when you go to these gun shows and things, you can get away without, you know, you can basically you can get your hands on guns without doing any of this stuff, right? So it goes unreported. So what the investigation was that it actually started back in 2005, right? And it was a thing called Project Gunrunner in 2005, and the idea was they wanted to try to trace these weapons and see where they ended up. You know, they wanted to basically kind of prove that this is what was happening, right? And get an outline of an organization of gun runners is what they wanted to do, right? So what they did is that they encouraged, they have these buyers, they call them straw buyers, and these are buyers that were under surveillance, right? And they would go to the gun realtor and they would say, you know, the gun store or the guy at the gun show, and they'd say, go ahead and sell to this guy, we're keeping, you know, we're part of an investigation, you can sell to him, it's okay, you know, sell. And so the dude would come in, the straw buyer would come in, and he'd buy 10, 15, 20, you know, rifles at once, you know, and these would be things like you know, AK-47s, right? But the thing is, they're legal because they're not fully automatic. So, you know, there's laws against having a complete, you know, so these are like semi-automatic, like, you know, AK-47s, which are like basically, you know, it's really easy to change them into fully automatic ones, things like that, you know, and shotguns and fucking that kind of thing. You know, long guns is what they call them. Any kind of rifle it's classified as a long gun, you know. Guys would go in and they'd buy, like, you know, a shitload of guns, you know, 20, 30, 40 over the course of a couple of weeks, right? And the feds were keeping an eye on these people, you know, but what ended up happening is that a lot of the guns kind of got lost. You know, they went over the border, right? And they got away from them. And this happened in 2005. You know, they call that gun walking. You know, when they were able to, when they lost surveillance of the guns, right? This happened in 2005, and then it also happened in 2006, 2007, and it was called Operation Wide Receiver, right? Keep in mind this is during the Bush administration, okay? Then in 2009, the latest incarnation of that was called Operation Fast and Furious, right? So, so now it starts going wrong, and what happened was that Fast and Furious, right, is that there was a Border Patrol agent who ended up getting shot by one of these weapons, right? And they traced it back to one of the Fast and Furious gun walking things. Basically, it was one of these weapons that they allowed to cross the border during their investigation, ended up in the hands of a drug cartel guy who shot a Border Patrol agent. The guy ended up dead, and then that's what kind of unveiled this entire thing. You know, this brought all this stuff to light, you know. So, of course, people are very concerned that the United States government is allowing weapons to fall into the hands of drug cartels, right? But, you know, the problem is that first off, you know, this was part of a, you know, the scandal involved here is, it's not really much of a fucking scandal. I mean, that's scandal enough, you know, that the guns were being sold and then somebody ended up dead, right? That's enough of a fucking scandal. But, you know, I mean, as far as scandals go, this one is pretty fucking weak. I mean, the conspiracy theory here, you know, let's take that angle first, right? Now, if you talk to the NWO Alex Jones crowd, right, they think that this is like a conspiracy theory, that the ATF allowed this to happen on purpose, specifically knowing that it was going to result in violence, that so then they can turn around and, like, advocate for, like, stronger regulations. That's what they fucking think. They think this is, like, part of a big, like conspiracy theory from, like, the fucking global elites to take away your guns and shit so they can, like, fucking, you know, take over, which is bullshit, okay? It's complete fucking bullshit. I mean, the truth is that these operations kind of proved what they said they were going to prove. You know, that guns that get over the border end up in the hands of drug cartels, right? And that's kind of what they already knew, okay? What the investigation was for was to try and uncover the organization of who was doing it, you know, and the shit kind of went sour, so it didn't really do what it was supposed to do, but the fact that the shit happens is undeniable. Okay, I mean, this kind of proves it, right? So anyhow, but the ATF did say that they wanted to enact another rule saying that sales of multiple long rifles, long guns needed to be reported, right? And the thing is that you might have seen something on the news where some of the Republicans were saying things like, "Oh, that's, you know, we don't need another inconvenient regulation to solve this." But the thing is that type of reporting was already being done voluntarily, so it's not really inconvenient if they were already doing it. All this really does is kind of formalize that, right? I mean, it only makes logical fucking sense if somebody comes in and they buy 20 fucking shotguns. You want to know who they are, all right? Like, where are these guns going? Who they belong to? I mean, are they gonna fucking, like, rob a bank with them? I mean, seriously, right? So, you know, so that part of the scandal, of this fake ass, phony ass scandal, is, you know, complete fucking utter bullshit, right? Now, the other part is where Obama invoked executive privilege, right? That's bullshit too. Now, what you'll see on the news is they'll be talking about how you know, he shouldn't be blocking this information and all that stuff. The House Oversight Committee already has all the information they need. They already have all the documents that relate to the actual investigations. They already have everything, all the material that relates to Fast and Furious and who knew what and who knew, you know, who authorized what and all that shit. They already have all that. What the subpoena was for, right? What they wanted was internal correspondence in the White House between Obama and Eric Holder and some other higher-ups discussing how they were going to handle this Fast and Furious. That's what they want. They want emails from Eric Holder and Barack Obama talking about how they're going to respond to these congressional inquiries, right? And that's total fucking bullshit. That's like internal you know, I mean, first off, all right, there are some people out there that think that everything that the government does ever should be available for public consumption, right? And in some sense, that's true. Okay, you should be able to get anything that's not classified. You know, obviously they're not going to tell you about their secret weapons and systems and shit like that, right? But this kind of thing, yeah, maybe you should allow this kind of stuff to be public knowledge, right? But if first off, if that's going to apply, then that needs to, if that's going to be the case, that needs to be the same with Congress and the same with the judicial branch, you know, the Supreme Court, right? And if that's the case, then every memo and every email they ever send out ever should be public, all right? And I doubt that much of Congress is going to want that to happen, okay? I mean, are they going to want to, like, unveil all their private emails back and forth between lobbyists and shit, or with each other, you know, or, like, with the GOP people who aren't even holding any fucking elected offices, like Karl Rove, you know? Karl Rove doesn't even have, he's not a senator, right? He doesn't hold any elective office, but look how fucking powerful he is, all right? You know, are they going to want to have all those emails and communications, like, opened up? I don't fucking think so, right? So, you know, there is room within a government, right? Specifically when policymakers get together to formulate policy, there is precedent, rather, to have confidentiality between themselves, right? So that they can craft a, you know, for instance, they can, you know, so they can craft an official response to something, that kind of thing, right? It's not necessarily within the public purview to see their internal deliberations, okay? Maybe sometimes, you know, a lot of people were saying that this might have applied, like, say, to the Bush-Cheney Energy Commission. Anybody remember that, you know? And just for the record, the Bush-Cheney people actually invoked executive privilege for documents against that too, alright? So if Bush is allowed to fucking, like, you know, say executive privilege when it comes to, like, planning energy policy with fucking rich oil companies and shit that ends up, like, creating a fucking Iraq war, then, you know, if that's the case, then Barack Obama gets to do the same thing when it comes to this investigation, right? Because it's not necessarily law that we're talking about. These are policy, you know, and I'm talking about, like, legal policy errors, and do they have a right to have confidentiality amongst themselves? And I think they do, okay? I mean, I think they do, as long as no crimes have been committed. Okay, which in this case, crimes have not been committed, alright? That nothing illegal happened during this Fast and Furious thing. Right? So it's not even really a cover-up, really. You know, they're trying to frame it like it's this badass cover-up, like it's fucking Roswell or something. It's like, they haven't really covered up anything. They've given out all the documents that they've asked for, except for these, you know. And if you really think about it, it's like, well, why would, you know, the House Oversight Committee, which is made up of, you know, Darrell Issa is the head of that, and it's a majority Republicans, right? In fact, they did a vote to hold Eric Holder in contempt, and it went along party lines, you know, 17 Democrats and 25 Republicans or whatever, right? So it's partisan, right? It's showing that this is basically, they're doing this for partisan politic reasons, right? Why exactly would they need to have internal communications between Eric Holder and Barack Obama in the first place, right? If it doesn't actually apply to the case at hand, you know, if there's even Darrell Issa came out and he admitted that Barack Obama was not involved in this, so why does he need documents from him? You know, if he's not involved, then why do you need his emails and his communications? Because the reason why is because they want to pick it apart so that they can find some shit to smear him with before the election. That's exactly what it is, okay? And everybody knows it, alright? And this is why fucking everything that you're reading right now on the internet basically says that this contempt charge is completely full of shit and Eric Holder's gonna get off, right? And because it's obviously blatantly politically motivated, okay? Now doesn't that say something, I mean, about the state of our government when they'll invent a scandal? Like, there's lots of shit going on that needs to be done right now in Congress, right? You know, that's another thing. They're notoriously lagging when it comes to actually creating policy. They haven't, like, done shit. They're sitting on their hands, and they're doing it on purpose because they don't want to give any policy victories to the Obama administration before the fucking election, right? But then they have time for shit like this. Why? Because they can use it to smear Obama. And that's exactly what's fucking going on. I mean, the truth is the motives are not fucking, you know, benign. here, okay? They're not in the public's best interest, alright? They're not uncovering scandal. They're fucking doing it to smear Obama so that they can fucking win the election. That's exactly what's going on, right? It's a bullshit scandal. I mean, the same thing happened, if you remember back, in the 90s to fucking Bill Clinton, okay? Like, you remember how, like Bill Clinton had, like, 25 congressional investigations against him, right, for all kinds of things, Whitewater and this and that, and, women that he slept with and that said they raped her and all this shit, and none of it stuck, right? None of it stuck because it was all fucking partisan bullshit that had no basis in fucking reality. Like, little tiny small transgressions of things that weren't even against the law that they tried to blow out of proportion, and they finally nailed him because he got some moral sex, right? That's what happened to Clinton, and the same thing, they're trying to do the same thing to Barack Obama, except that fucking he hasn't, like, gotten a blowjob in the Oval Office yet. And say what you want about Barack Obama. A lot of people say that, he didn't do what we thought he was going to do. Yeah, that might be true, alright, but you know what, he's had a very, very scandal-free run as president. Very, very few scandals as president, okay? Go to Wikipedia and look up Barack Obama political controversies, and you'll see the things in there are like, they're fucking weak sauce. Like, there's no Iran-Contra level fucking, scandals, alright? He has scandals like, the Air Force One flew around New York and didn't tell anybody, and people got scared. Shit like that, okay? It's like, he's basically extremely clean as far as, like, how his shit's been running, okay? And it's fucking awesome. Alright, this is how presidents should be. Presidents should be running their administrations like, he's running a top-notch, clean ship, pretty much virtually free of corruption, okay? That's, why is he not getting credit for that? I mean, come on, people give credit where credit is due, okay? He's not a scumbag. He's not covering up anything, right? He hasn't started any fucking wars on phony evidence or any shit like that. So anyway, I don't know. It's just basically the whole thing's fucking crap, right? And what really gets me is that, like, let's say Mitt Romney actually wins and he becomes president. Watch how many fucking times he invokes executive privilege. Okay, I mean, keep in mind, this is the first time the Obama administration, in 3 years, they've done this, alright? It's because they're fucking, like, honest people, alright? And really, the President of the United States should be an honest man, okay? People don't seem to fucking understand this shit. Like, it's important who the President is, okay? It's important that he be somebody with some fucking integrity, alright? Because when you have someone who isn't, when you have someone who doesn't give a shit and just fucking obeys like his corporate masters and shit, then we end up getting in, look at what happened, 8 years of the Bush people, right? And then compare that to, like, 3 years, I mean, there's no fucking comparison. It's of who's the better person, okay? Seriously, just think about that. In November, think about integrity. Okay, vote for somebody with some fucking integrity. Vote for an honest person, alright? I mean, I don't know. I don't really know how to end this, so I think I'm just going to quit while I'm ahead, so adios, folks.